Hello and welcome to What's on My Mind with Fiona. I'm your host, Fiona Kane. Today I'm actually going to be talking about a government, a Victorian government in Australia. So Victoria is a state in Australia, for those of you not in Australia. A Victorian government advertising campaign and why I actually believe it's putting women at risk. This advertising campaign, it's called the Unsaid Says a Lot. And essentially, it's a series of ads, and there's two in particular that I have a problem with. So, generally speaking, the idea is that it's supposed to be a campaign encouraging people to be kind to people of different genders and things. Now, I have no problem with being kind to all people. That's not an issue, and so there's no issue with any particular group of people. There's no issue with being kind to people. I think that that is a really, really good thing. However, in the case of this, the way that they've shown it in these ads, I think is really offensive. And actually, I think that in general, telling people they need to be kind, I think people know that these days. So it's kind of quite insulting. It's kind of like big governments go to tell you that you should be a kind person. Honestly, I think people know that already. So I think it's a bit insulting to start with. But anyway, there are two particular ads in this campaign that really do concern me in regards to safety. So one of them is there's one where there is a man who is identifying as a woman. I'm not going to call him a woman because he's not. But a man who identifies as a woman, he gets into a lift, and there's already a woman in that lift, a biological woman, and ultimately the biological woman chooses to get out of the lift. And the implication is that she's a terrible, horrible bigot, and he's really sad and hurt, right? Now, he may or may not be sad and hurt. However, she has a right to get out of that lift, and it's not because it's not because of whether or not this person is considers themselves as being trans, or it's not about any of that. It's actually about safety, right? So women know that we have an intuition, we have a sixth sense. We kind of know, we kind of get these alarm bells going off in certain situations. Now, I'm not saying that situation would be with or without this particular person. I'm just saying in general, right? We have this alarm system that goes off where we kind of go, oh, I'm feeling really uncomfortable. This does not feel right. Okay. And it could be another woman, it could be anyone, right? But obviously, historically, just due to things like size and strength and things like that, the people that we've feared more have been men. But just generally speaking, women do have a sixth sense when it comes to these things, and we kind of get a feeling that, oh, okay, this is not safe. And it's really important that we have this because women generally are the ones looking after children as well, or they might be looking after the elderly, but they're caring for others often. And so to save themselves, but also to protect their young or to protect those around them, we actually do have that sixth sense. So telling a woman to ignore that is disgusting, and it's outright dangerous, right? So it's not about the person's identity or whatever. It's not about that. That's a whole, be who you want to be. That's fine. But it's about telling women to ignore their sixth sense, to ignore their intuition. And this is exactly what, it's amazing because women have gotten into so much trouble over the years by ignoring this. I remember seeing interviews, I think it might have been Gavin DeBecker or someone along those lines, but there's been many people I know over the years. Back in the day when I used to watch Oprah, and she would be talking to women who had been attacked and who had been raped and who had been someone had attempted to murder them, but these women had survived. And, so many of them said the same thing over and over again. They said they felt something was off. They felt something wasn't right. They were getting alarm bells, but they overrid that. They overrode that with that kind of, oh no, that makes me look like a mean, and I don't really want to say no. And what these men do, and Ted Bundy used to do this, right? For those of you who don't know, he's a famous serial killer. So I think he used to put his arm in a sling, or pretend he was injured in some way, and then tell women, I think he needed help loading something into his car, something like that, to get them over near the car. And I've heard other stories where they've said that they'll have groceries on the stairs or something, or they'll offer to help carry your groceries. So sometimes it's them offering to help you, but a lot of the times it's been them pretending to be injured in some way, needing help, right? And women, because we do tend to be compassionate and caring and kind and all of those things, we can easily kind of think, oh, okay, yes, I'll help you. And even though we've got these alarm bells going off, we say, oh, no, it's just mean not to help this person. Or, I wouldn't want that person to think I was cruel or mean or bad. So women really do suffer from a lot of that, what will people think of me? They might think I'm a bad person itis. And over the years, there has been a strong push to teach women in particular to forget that when it comes to their safety. When it comes to their safety, that's all that matters. And so we've actually, and Gavin DeBecker, who I mentioned before, I think that's his name. Let me double check that that's his name. Yeah, he wrote the book, The Gift of Fear: Survival Signs That Protect Us from Violence. He is one who's been spent years teaching this. He's spent, his life's work has been teaching this, and he's teaching women ultimately to listen to their intuition, even if it means that someone gets upset or insulted or offended. And, I don't know about you, but I would, I don't want to spend all of my time going out of my way to deliberately offend people, but I want to survive. And if it comes down to when I feel my safety is in danger, I'd rather offend people than end up being someone's victim like that, right? So that's a choice that I make, and that's a choice that women should make. Um, so it's not advocating being deliberately cruel or unkind to anyone, but it's just looking out for our safety, looking out for the safety of our children. And sometimes this actually requires saying no. It requires removing ourselves from a situation, or other choices that might come across as being rude. And that is just as simple as that. It's actually not about anyone's identity. It's actually about the choice of that person to, if they're feeling uncomfortable, to walk away. And this advertising campaign is pretty much kind of saying that person must be a bigot, and also it's saying that the person who was left behind in the lift, their feelings, whether or not they feel sad or hurt or whatever, is a lot more important than that woman's safety. So that is disgusting. I'm so against that. Now, the other ad within this campaign was actually a sporting team. I think it's an AFL, which is a type of football, Australian football, and it's a girls' team who are accepting, again, a man who's identifying as a woman, I believe, still a man, into their team. And then everyone's kind of happy because everyone's just so kind because they've invited this man to be in their team. And again, no, that's not okay. Let's just begin with safety reasons. That is so not okay from a safety point of view. And I think I need to do a whole other episode just all about sports and kind of all of the reasons why there's problems with this. But there's the absolute obvious. This is a really big man competing against women, and in particular, this sport is a sort of a contact sport, right? So any sort of rough and tumble contact sport, there's really, really high risk of that person, even if it's not intentional, that person accidentally injuring people in that team. Then there's sort of issues such as changing rooms and people's right to privacy in those kind of situations, and then there's also the issue of things like, well, if that person's in that team, it means a woman's missed out on that place, and there could be careers, scholarships for schools and universities, and all sorts of things that a woman's missing out. so that she doesn't make a man uncomfortable. And again, like I said, this is not about targeting any particular person or deliberately being cruel to any person. It is just saying that there's a safety issue here and a fairness issue here. Women need to be safe. And if they're playing a contact sport with a biological man, I don't believe they're safe. So again, it's these kind of stories like that where the way the Victorian government has done this is they've just created these narratives that somehow trying to guilt you into doing things that feel like they're wrong, that are wrong, or that just feel uncomfortable or maybe feel dangerous to you. And so this is going against everything that we've done all these years with all of the issues that we're having in the world with violence against women. And in the West, the push to things like believe women and to listen to women and to teach us how to stand up for ourselves and, Me Too and all that kind of stuff. And now we're doing advertising campaigns to shame women for actually standing up for ourselves, for creating healthy boundaries for ourselves. Uh, really? No, that is not okay. And then when I was having a look at the campaign, um, now the campaign has let me just check here. So there was a line here on the page because there's a whole page website for the campaign, and it says that everyone deserves to be safe, supported, and equal. So that's what it says, and what it's actually saying, though, ultimately, by what they're displaying in their ads, is no, everyone does not deserve to be safe, supported, and equal. No, the people that they are advocating for in this campaign are the only ones that deserve to feel safe, supported, and equal, because this whole campaign shows them feeling that way based on women in particular not feeling okay, not feeling safe, and not feeling equal or supported, right? So that actually, and that's what happens in this with this ideology is that, you know, again, live and let live, and that all people deserve to be happy in their lives and to be safe in their lives, and to feel part of a community and all those things. Absolutely. But when it's like, well, it's only going to be that way when if somebody else is unsafe and somebody else gives up their rights and somebody else gives up their privacy and somebody else loses their place in the sporting team, there's a problem there. And I actually think that campaigns like this actually have the opposite effect to what you want them to have, because most people in general just want to be fair and want to be kind, and they will be, in the appropriate way. But when it's kind of like smacking people over the head and shaming them and saying, "Oh, it's not about you; it's just about these other people," what they're actually doing is they're creating that divide, and they're more likely to create animosity towards this group of people who don't deserve that, right? So I think this campaigns like this actually work the opposite of how they want them to. And then the last thing on that was like safe, supported, and equal. So we hear about that a lot lately. They talk a lot about equity, not equality. Equality is where we have equal opportunity. But equity, which is what they talk about more these days, is where we have equality of outcome, right? And the truth is that we're not all equal, right? We're just not, right? Like, I am not a runner. I'm never going to win a running race. I do not have long legs. I'm 5 foot tall. I will never be a famous basketballer or even a not famous basketballer. I'll never be a basketballer, right? Or run races and do track athletics and things like that, right? But there are people who can and people who do, right? No one's going to go into, a men's basketball team in the US and say, there's not enough diversity here. We need more white people, or we need more 5 foot tall women in this team. No, it's just there's just facts, and their facts are that we're not equal, we're actually different, and it's not a bad thing. And it's sort of, we complement each other ultimately, but the truth is that people are different, and we have different strengths and different abilities, and not everyone is going to be able to run a race or play certain sports, or do basketball or whatever it is. That's just the truth. And me complaining and saying, well, it should be equal outcome, and I should just be put on the men's famous men's team because it's not fair because I'm 5 foot tall woman, and in my 50s, and I should be allowed to, I identify as a 25-year-old 6'5" African American guy, and I need to be play on that team or whatever. No, no, just no, right? So there's a certain level of reality, and it's okay to accept that actually we're not all equal. Equality, as in treating people kindly and being kind and giving people, equal opportunity and all those things, it's a whole different thing. But equality, as in we're all the same, and so we all sort of, we're equal in everything. It's just not true, right? There's always going to be someone who comes first and someone who comes last, and someone who's good at this thing and someone who's not, someone who's good at something else instead, right? We're not equal. We're equal as in we're all humans, and we're all born and we all die. There's great equalizer for you, but in regards to kind of talents and things like that, no, we're not equal, and that's okay. That's just how it is. Uh, and I'm going to read a couple of quotes from Gavin de Becker, because I think he says this really, really well. So, in regards to the kind of the niceness, the woman being nice and being kind, and putting herself at risk, he said, niceness is a decision, a strategy of social interaction. It's not a character trait. So it's just a choice in a situation. But if you're not nice in a situation, but that is to save yourself, or even if you turn out to be wrong, that your intention was well, that it was to save yourself. That's not it doesn't mean you're of bad character. He also said that only human beings can look directly at something, have all the information they need to make an accurate prediction, perhaps even momentarily make the accurate prediction, and then say it isn't so. And that is so true. And there was an example of this last year. A woman was in a gym. I was maybe in a apartment complex or a hotel or something, and it was one of those gyms where you need a pass to get into the gym. And she was in there on her own, and a man came to the door and wanted to be let in. And you could tell she wasn't real sure, and she wasn't feeling too great about it. But ultimately, she let him in, and he tried to attack her. And I think she got away. It was all on video, but she let him in because she felt guilty about the fact that it would seem like she was not nice, right? This happens all of the time, right? So we're particularly being told this, like, if that person is any kind of, in inverted commas, minority, even more so, that you obviously, the only reason that woman wouldn't let that guy in the gym was because she's racist or some other ist, not because she kind of just got a vibe that this guy might be going to hurt her. And again, all sorts of people can hurt you. It's not about someone's color. It's just, if someone has a vibe that something's dangerous, they're usually right, and they go against it because they've been told that they're wrong and they shouldn't listen to their intuition. The other, I think I might sort of finish with this and sort of like shame on the Victorian government. But the other quote that I'm going to read from Gavin de Becker is, he says, it's understandable that the perspectives of men and women on safety are different, are so different. Men and women live in different worlds. At core, men are afraid women will laugh at them, while at core, women are afraid men will kill them. Yes, I think I'll leave it there. That explains exactly what I'm talking about. But how dare the Victorian government put women in danger and encourage them not to listen to their intuition just for the sake of being nice? Yes, let's be nice to everyone except for women, apparently. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I will talk to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.